My stepson entered in my room sudden when I was changing my cloth. A real infidelity story. This is unbelievable story of confusion in relationships. Let's subscribe me and go ahead to story. A young woman, haunted by a tragic past, discovers a hidden power that could reshape the future, but at a terrible cost. As she delves deeper into this newfound ability, she must confront a sinister force that seeks to exploit her power for its own dark purposes. With each passing day, the stakes rise, and she is forced to make a choice that will determine the fate of the world. The sunbeams danced across the polished hardwood floor, casting an ethereal glow upon Sarah's form. She stood before the vanity mirror, her fingers tracing the delicate curve of her neck. A soft sigh escaped her lips as she admired her reflection. Her eyes, a mesmerizing shade of emerald, held a secret depth, a forbidden desire that threatened to consume her. The tranquility of the moment was shattered by the sudden intrusion of footsteps. The door creaked open, and Ethan, her stepson, stood silhouetted against the blinding sunlight. His gaze, intense and unwavering, swept over her, lingering on the exposed curve of her shoulder. A shiver ran down her spine, a mixture of anticipation and dread. "Ethan, dear," Sarah managed to utter, her voice barely a whisper. "What brings you here?" He stepped into the room, his every movement deliberate. His eyes, a shade of stormy gray, held a possessive glint. "I couldn't resist," he murmured, his voice low and husky. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She had always been drawn to his youth, his raw energy, a stark contrast to her own restrained elegance. But this was different. This was a dangerous game, a forbidden love that threatened to consume them both. "You know this is wrong," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Ethan smirked, a devilish glint in his eyes. "Wrong is exciting," he retorted, his fingers tracing the delicate curve of her neck. In that moment, the world outside ceased to exist. They were alone, lost in a whirlwind of forbidden desire. Their lips met, a passionate kiss that ignited a fire within them. The kiss deepened, their bodies pressed together, a silent promise of a love that dared to defy all boundaries. David, Sarah's husband, entered the room, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. The scene before him was a betrayal of the highest order. His heart shattered into a million pieces, a pain so profound it threatened to consume him. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, his voice trembling with rage. Sarah and Ethan pulled apart, their eyes filled with guilt and fear. They knew they had crossed a line that could never be undone. The once peaceful home was now a battlefield of emotions, a silent war waged between love, betrayal, and desire. Sarah and Ethan, caught in the intoxicating web of their forbidden love, were oblivious to the impending doom. David, the betrayed husband, was determined to expose the truth, to punish them for their transgression. The consequences of their actions would be far-reaching, a ripple effect that would shatter their lives forever.